Somewhere along the base of your garden wall or pressing through a gap in your foundation smaller than you would believe possible, there is an animal making a calculated decision entirely with its nose. Rats have poor eyesight. They navigate by scent. They are sampling the air around your property right now, building a chemical map, assessing every corner for signs of danger, predator presence, chemical threat, and deciding whether to stay or find somewhere else entirely. Here is what almost nobody considers. There are specific plants whose chemical signatures are so hostile to the rat nervous system that these animals will physically reroute their paths to avoid them. Not because of poison, not because of a trap, simply because of what those plants continuously release into the air around them. Ancient grain farmers in Egypt understood this. Medieval monasteries built living chemical perimeters around their food stores using these exact plants. Farmers in China, India, and across the Mediterranean all arrived independently at the same knowledge across centuries of direct observation. Modern biochemistry now explains what they understood intuitively, compound by compound, receptor by receptor. And yet most homeowners reach immediately for poison pellets or snap traps, completely unaware that the right plants positioned correctly around a property create an environment rats simply choose to abandon. One plant on this list scrambles the way rats communicate danger to each other. Another was grown in deliberate rings around granaries for centuries. Rats would not cross the perimeter. And the last plant is the one almost nobody considers, growing in almost any condition, asking almost nothing, and based on both the historical record and the chemistry beneath it, possibly the most effective, natural rat deterrent that exists. That one is worth staying for. Plant 1. Peppermint, Mentha piperita. Bring to mind the smell of peppermint, that sharp, cooling wave that moves through the sinuses immediately and completely. For a human, it is invigorating. For a rat, it is suffocating. The active compound is menthol. Peppermint essential oil carries menthol concentrations of up to 40%, and menthol interacts directly with a receptor called TRPM8, a cold-sensing ion channel in the nervous system. In rats, overstimulation of this receptor does not produce curiosity, it produces distress, a signal the nervous system reads as "leave this space immediately." Peppermint oil also carries menthone, methyl acetate, and a layered range of secondary terpene compounds that together create a chemical environment the rat brain classifies as dangerous. In nature, volatile terpene concentrations at that intensity typically signal toxic plant matter. The rat's nervous system evolved to move away from that signal without hesitation. Ancient Romans strewed peppermint across storage room floors and wove it into granary thatching. Medieval apothecaries recommended it specifically for keeping vermin from food stores. Applied observation confirmed and passed forward across generations. Plant it densely along your home's exterior walls, particularly near foundation entry points. A continuous mat along a fence line creates a scent corridor rats are extraordinarily reluctant to cross. Contain it with buried edging because it spreads aggressively, but that same tendency to colonize space is precisely what makes it effective. Trim it regularly. Every cut releases a fresh surge of volatile compounds into the surrounding air. Plant 2. Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Humans have described lavender as calming and sacred for more than 2,000 years. Rats find it repulsive. The primary volatile compounds, linalool, linaloyl acetate, and camphor, are gentle to the human nose individually. Together, in the concentration a dense lavender planting produces, they form a chemical signal rodents are neurologically wired to avoid. In rodent studies, animals in linalool-heavy environments spent significantly less time in those areas and showed measurably elevated stress markers when prevented from leaving. The camphor fraction interacts with rat olfactory receptors the same way menthol does, triggering associations with chemical irritation rather than anything neutral. Medieval French farmers planted lavender along kitchen garden boundaries not for fragrance, but because generations of observation had established one consistent fact. Rats did not nest in lavender. Plant it in full sun along walkways near structural entry points and as continuous border edging around vegetable gardens. Unlike peppermint, it stays exactly where you place it, a well-behaved perennial providing chemical coverage for decades. Plant 3. Marigold, Tagetes species. Most gardeners treat marigolds as cheerful filler. This is a significant misunderstanding of what a marigold actually does. Agricultural cultures on nearly every inhabited continent arrived independently at marigolds as protective plants. The ancient Aztecs, colonial English gardeners, African farmers across multiple regions all documented their defensive properties without knowledge of each other. Taget species produce compounds called thiophenies, sulfur-based molecules with intensely pungent chemical signatures. To your nose, marigolds smell ordinary. To a rat perceiving scent at concentrations orders of magnitude more sensitive, a dense marigold planting is dominated by sulfur compounds that register as neurologically aversive. And then there is the root chemistry. Marigold roots continuously release alpha-terthienol into the surrounding soil. Rats dig. When they burrow near marigold roots, they encounter this compound through their skin and mucous membranes. Not lethal, simply deeply and persistently unpleasant in a way that changes their entire assessment of that area. Plant marigolds densely in solid, continuous rows along vegetable garden fences and raised bed perimeters. A single plant scattered here and there accomplishes almost nothing. An unbroken line accomplishes a great deal. Plant 4. Wormwood, Artemisia absinthium. There is a reason wormwood appears in old texts the way it does, in granary records, monastery documents, medieval household management guides, always near food storage, always described the same way. Vermin will not go near it. The primary compound, absinthin, is by most scientific measures the bitterest substance found in any plant species on Earth. But bitterness is the human experience. Rats process wormwood through their nose first. The volatile oils absinthyl thujone, azulene, and a dense mixture of additional terpene compounds produce a scent profile that registers as acutely threatening. Thujone carries neurotoxic properties at high concentrations, and the rat nervous system has evolved a powerful avoidance response to plants producing it. An adaptive behavior refined over millions of years, working here entirely in your favor. Ancient Egyptian documents reference wormwood in pest protection contexts over 3,000 years ago. The same reliable observation confirmed and passed forward across civilizations that never communicated with each other. Plant it along fence lines, property corners, and near compost areas. Keep it away from vegetable beds. It releases allelopathic compounds through its roots that suppress neighboring plant growth. It stakes out its territory chemically and holds it, which is precisely the behavior you are deploying. Plant 5. Garlic, Allium sativum. Inside every garlic clove, alliin and the enzyme alliinase are held in deliberate separation by the plant's own cellular structure. The moment a clove is damaged in any way, those compounds combine and produce allicin. That sharp, sulphurous, penetrating scent filling a kitchen instantly is allicin releasing into the air. To a human cook, it signals something good. To a rat, it signals alarm. Allicin belongs to a class of organosulfur compounds producing some of the most intense, volatile signatures in the plant world. The rat's olfactory system depends heavily on sulfur-based scent markers for critical environmental signals, including predator detection. Its response to allicin is what researchers describe as a strong, unconditioned, aversive response. The rat does not learn to find garlic threatening. It arrives already knowing. Garlic carries one advantage no other plant on this list shares. It grows underground. The primary chemical payload exists in the soil itself, exactly where rats dig and burrow. Plant it densely along vegetable garden edges and around raised beds. It is also food, which means garlic borders perform two functions simultaneously, holding a chemical perimeter and delivering one of the most useful harvests in the kitchen garden. Plant 6. Rosemary. Salvia rosmarinus. Before science provided the explanation, Mediterranean farmers stated the observation plainly. Plant rosemary near the granary and the rats will find somewhere else to be, documented across southern France, northern Italy, coastal Spain, and the Greek islands for centuries, not planted for beauty, planted because it worked. Rosemary produces camphor, borneol, camphene, alpha-pinene, and, most significantly, 1,8-cineol, also known as eucalyptal, a powerful natural repellent across a wide range of pest species. On warm days, when sunlight heats the foliage and drives the essential oils outward, a mature rosemary shrub creates a chemical environment rats actively choose to avoid. It is the only evergreen on this list, providing chemical coverage through every season, including winter. Plant it at structural entry points, raised bed corners, and anywhere rat activity has been observed. Plant 7. Elderberry, Sambucus nigra. This is the one, not the most familiar, not mentioned in most modern pest control guidance at all, but the historical record surrounding elder and rats is more specific, more geographically consistent, and more deliberately intentional than anything else on this list. Across rural communities from England through Germany into Poland and Ukraine, the elder tree occupied one deliberate position in the landscape. At the property edge, near outbuildings, adjacent to root cellars and grain stores, cutting one down without good reason was considered something you simply did not do, not from superstition, because the elder was understood to be performing something essential. It kept the rats away. The elder produces cyanogenic glycosides throughout its leaves and bark, compounds that release hydrogen cyanide when plant tissue is damaged. At normal human exposure, this presents no meaningful risk. But rats, whose olfactory receptors evolved specifically to detect chemical danger signals, register this chemistry as a serious and immediate threat. The volatile signature of damaged elder leaves, acrid and distinct from almost every other garden plant, triggers an avoidance response that hunger and familiarity do not override. Elder establishes rapidly in almost any soil, reaching 3 meters within 2 to 3 years. Once established, it self-seeds along fence lines and property edges, spreading slowly into exactly the positions where its chemistry matters most, without any assistance from you. And it gives back generously. The flowers yield elderflower beloved in cordials and syrups. The berries, always properly prepared, never eaten raw, produce one of the most antioxidant-rich immune-supporting foods in the botanical tradition. Modern research continues confirming what traditional medicine understood about elderberry long before the science existed to explain it. A plant that protects your property, contributes to your kitchen, supports your health, and asks almost nothing in return. Plant elder at your boundaries, along fence lines, near outbuildings and compost areas. Give it space, then leave it alone. It knows what it is doing. The oldest farmers in Europe built their property edges around this knowledge. The plant has not changed. Only the knowledge has faded. 7 plants. Thousands of years of accumulated observation. Modern biochemistry confirming compound by compound what those observers knew. Peppermint at the foundation, lavender along the borders, marigolds in dense rows around vegetable beds, wormwood at the fence line, garlic throughout the kitchen garden, rosemary flanking entry points, and elderberry, patient and chemically formidable, standing at the edges doing what it has always done. Rats are intelligent, adaptable, and persistent. But a property planted with these 7 creates an environment they instinctively choose to leave. Not through poison, not through traps, through the oldest language between plants and animals that has been running for millions of years. You are not fighting nature when you plant these. You are finally working with it. Drop a comment below and tell me which plant you are starting with. Subscribe to Rooted Harvests. This is what we do here, recovering the plant knowledge that got quietly set aside and putting it back where it belongs. See you in the next one.